Good afternoon, everyone. You are tuned into Let's Go There with Sassy C and Tia. We are back on the air on this rainy day, but we have a fire topic to discuss. Today's topic is a part two to a show we did about 2 months ago. It is Get Your Money Straight Part 2. There's more. So we are going to dive a little bit deeper. We just kind of scratched the surface the first time when we had our show on financial planning and literacy, and we're going to dig a little deeper today. We have some amazing guests joining us. We have our returning guest from the first show, Mr. Andre Hogue with PFS Investments, and we have Mr. Mike Scott, who is the owner of Scott Estates. Just turning the game on its head when it comes to real estate in the business. So in this city, I'm very proud of you. Very, very proud of you. And then, hey, Tia.
Hey, girl. Yes, I'm back as well. It is raining outside, but I'm super excited about our topic today because it's a topic that most people either shy away from, they're embarrassed about, or, it's just something that keeps them up at night. So this is a powerful topic. I'm so glad we're back for part 2. I got my notebook. I got my pen ready to learn today.
Awesome. So you want to go ahead and kick us off?
I do. I did a little research, right? Because I was here for part 1, and it just really changed my life and really set it in motion in a big way. So I got even more curious and started digging and came up with some statistics. So as I read these statistics, I want you to be thinking about people because these are real people attached to these statistics. So I read that 78% of full-time workers live paycheck to paycheck, right? And half of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. Our credit card debt is over $15,000, and nearly half of Americans don't even have enough life insurance, right? I read those statistics, right? And I went a little deeper, and it also says that more than half of Americans have less than $25,000 in their savings and investments. So this first question is going to be for you, Andre. Now, we heard those statistics, right? And we know that people are attached to those, and those are some huge challenges for those folks in that position. So why are so many people having challenges today, Andre? Help us out.
That's a great question. I think there's so many different reasons why people are challenged with money today. One is their thinking and how they view money. Consumerism, though, is very real. Mm-hmm. We live in a world that's loud that says buy now, pay later. So you will definitely pay. And that's usually what happens is people's money gets thrown off. So impulse, we've been told you got to have this, you got to live this way, you got to drive this, you got to live here. Mm-hmm. And so I believe people not only go above their means, they're teaching that to their children to do the exact same thing. So consumerism, just being the fact that we consume and we're not producing, is a big, big challenge in our culture today. And we have to put some brakes on that to say, I can deny myself, these pair of shoes, this suit, or whatever it is that someone wants to purchase, so that they can build wealth down the road. Because this is the reality, okay? When you don't save money, you're stealing from your future self. And you're putting yourself in a position where that 65-year-old is going to also want to purchase, but when you listen to those statistics, if you got half of Americans with less than $25,000 for retirement, at the end of the day, they're going to pay later. They get to play now, but they pay later. I would say pay now so you can play later. So consumerism and just buying is just really out of control. And so that has a lot to do with how we've been taught about money, So, and then I know there's some other things we'll be able to dive into, but I think just on the surface, we just got to change our thinking. And when you think biblically, the Bible, Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the ways of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And when you think of what the world tells us to do with money, is opposite of what God would say for us to do with money. So we got to go back to our roots and not just take our direction from those who don't have an invested interest in our future, which is what's really going on. So that's kind of what I would share with that. And we can do better.
Yeah.
We really can. I mean, we don't have to live in those circumstances. That is a choice. At some point, it becomes a choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Very good.
Stuff, yeah, agree. Well, I'm going to kind of piggyback off what he said. I mean, obviously, I don't think he said anything wrong in those statements, but I would use the word specifically conditioning.
Yeah.
I know you're speaking about Americans overall, but I think it's probably well known across the city that I love our people, right? And when I say our people, just the black culture. And so when I speak about the black culture, I'm talking about that conditioning, and we have to start picking up some of the money skills of some of the other cultures. They've been depleted from our culture. We've been without for so long that we haven't yet been taught, nor we haven't learned. We haven't reprogrammed ourselves to get out of the poor man's mentality, whether that's trying to get a deal or trying to get the hookup. I'm a firm advocate in you get what you pay for. So I had to get away from paying half price because I ended up paying triple the price when I was trying to get the hookup. All right, so making sure, for instance, I currently have my mother on my team, and my mother's my mother, right? So she's like, yo, I just want to do it for you. I'm like, no, mama, let me pay you. I want to pay you well. I want you to be very, very well paid and compensated for your efforts. I don't want the hookup. So just get out that poor man's mentality is super huge for the culture, and I'm just trying to encourage us to make sure that we invest in quality. Everything around the brand Scottish Station, that's not a plug, just reality is quality. Everything we do is quality, from the shirt that I put on, the fabric, to the photos I hand out, to the cards I just handed this gentleman to my right. I want everything to be quality, glossy, bold, impressive, and I want to just rebrand what black businesses have stood for overall. We have this, and it might be propaganda that we have this thought of black businesses not being up to par. It may be propaganda that we've fallen for over this time. So I just want to combat that propaganda and, put us ahead as much as possible.
Good. Now, that's really good. I love what both of you had to say. And so my next question is, since we know there are so many challenges and, it's just a society where we're just quick to get, we want to fulfill ourselves, then what are some of the biggest mistakes outside of just wanting to fulfill ourselves? What are some of the biggest mistakes that people don't understand about how money works?
Yeah, I would say that thinking a certain dollar amount is a lot of money. So I used to play basketball in Europe for 6 years, and at one point I was making 5 figures a month playing basketball in Europe, and it's crazy how I pretty much had some injuries back, and my knees started going out, and I came home, and after making 5 figures a month, right, probably after 18 months, I pretty much didn't have anything for the most part. So I'm thinking, okay, I have let's just say $100,000 in the bank. That is nothing when you think about the cost of living, right? So I was used to a certain lifestyle, and then I came home, I'm having no income, but I'm still going to the grocery store with my boys, like, man, let's get whatever we need to get. And I'm never a splurge. I've never been that guy. But at the same time, I was going to spend a little bit more than, maybe the average American when it came to certain items, but I wasn't bringing in the income. So in a nutshell, not to be too long with about that topic, I think not understanding that money comes and goes. It goes a lot faster than it comes in if you don't understand it. Wherever you put your money, you have to make sure it comes back to you. All right, every dollar I spend, I'm such an investor now. It's like, okay, it has to pay me in entertainment, it has to pay me in money, further, security. It has to be a return, a legitimate return. And when I say entertainment, I mean the one where it's actually speaking to that space in my mind of relaxation, right? So you maybe go to the movies with your friend, you're paying that money, but it's coming from a space of it's investing back to you in entertainment or relaxation or buying a relationship.
Okay. Andre, speak on, just someone even just that didn't have the $100,000. It's just starting from nowhere, honestly, and no education on what do I even do? I know I'm going to work. I'm probably not making enough. What do I do? How do I even begin?
Yeah, that's excellent. And Mike shared some awesome things there. Look, the biggest mistake people make when it comes to money is they don't tell money what to do.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, it's tight.
They don't. Money has to have instruction. Okay, when you don't put instruction on money, money will drift,
And go play.
right? And typically when money drifts,
Straight up.
money will become somebody else. Your money becomes somebody else's money, right?
And they'll tame it.
Right? Yeah. So you gotta put instruction on money. This $200 is supposed to go into the future and invest for me for my retirement. This $500 a month is going to make sure my debt is resolved. I mean, whatever it is that you got coming in, you got to make sure it's got instruction on it. Okay.
But even when you put that instruction, right?
Yeah.
Because that kind of goes into a question we haven't got to about how do you maintain that budget. When you say give it instruction, from my standpoint, I'm thinking you're saying that's part of creating that budget, and you're saying that this is going here and this is going there. That sounds good in theory, but how do you consistently put that into practice in terms of, as we all know, when that paycheck hit, right? We got 100 things that then came up between now and the time that we told money where to go. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Yeah.
So when it comes to putting it in action, how do you break that cycle? Because like you said, we were not taught how to do our money.
I get it. So let me jump on that, because there's, in theory and in reality, it works. It's not just theory. Life does happen, but we do what we want to do with money. We go hang out, we party, we eat, we drink, and then what happens is we end up in a space that we don't have what we supposed to have, and now the budget is messed up.
Right. It's
So
the
that's
budget's
just
fault.
it's the
Straight up.
budget's fault, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
then
yeah.
we start praying like, Lord, help me get out of this situation, when you really had that.
Yeah.
And so one of the things you have to do is we got to take responsibility
That's good.
for where we at. Okay,
Take
in life.
responsibility
Okay.
And
for
let me
where
add
you
something
are.
to that,
Yeah,
man. I
love
think
that.
alongside what you're saying, okay, the situation that our culture is in right now is not necessarily our fault, but it's our responsibility to get out of it, right? So we were set back years and years and years ago as a culture, and we can't look at the oppressor and say, hey, from down here, hey, can you help us? Because
Right.
at the end of the day, they're the ones who put us down here, right?
Right.
And they're not necessarily ready to get a throne up.
Right.
So, but while we're down here, it's our responsibility to grab a hold of each other and climb on each other's backs and get to the top. So, you're very, very right about that. Absolutely.
Yeah, let me expand on that though, because the oppressor is the enemy is in me. Okay, I get
Right.
it. Like, we do have challenges historically, but black people historically have won financially too. It's not in the masses like our counterparts, but we know how to own things. Okay,
But has it not
But-
been stripped away from us?
No, it hasn't.
It hasn't. That so
No.
you're saying that you don't feel like our what's that Black Wall Street?
I get that. That's great. If we look at that from that angle, black people have over $1 trillion in buying power every year,
Understood.
but we have less than $10,000 in net worth.
Because the knowledge has been stripped from us. The knowledge has been stripped from us. No.
I don't want to debate that, because I think everybody got to take responsibility.
Once again, it's not our. It's a responsibility. Like I said, I agree with you. It's our
Yeah.
responsibility to.
Yeah, I this is my thing. Okay, I'm gonna let me get to this question, and then we can jump back on that in the back. If I'm a black man, I've grown up. I got some years. Okay, I'm not the youngest here, but not the oldest. Maybe. Okay.
No.
Black people, we gotta stop making excuses and make a decision. Okay, this is just my take, and I understand. I'm in a lot of organizations that support African American growth, our youth, our adults. I'm all about financial literacy, but literacy, it does not escape us now. Okay, what we did is there came a time where people had a lot of ambition and no opportunity. Now we got opportunity and no